Hi guys, thanks a lot for joining us again this week for Creating 30. This time every week we jump on, myself, Tristan Griffiths, and the lovely Sarah Moore. We'll jump on and in 30 minutes we'll show you one process all the way through how to create a certain element of your content in 30 minutes or less. We are this week going to look at repurposing content, and this week looking specifically around tweetables from your content. So you should be able to see live here. This is recorded over at Blab.im/creating30. That's CRE, the number 8, IN30. If you wanted to watch these live and join the conversation, all you need is a Twitter handle. If you're watching this elsewhere, there are blog posts and there are also videos in various different formats. As the name suggests, we're showing people how to do that and how to put things out there. So guys, we're with in mind that we've got 30 minutes to get through everything. We're going to get straight into it. I'm just going to let Sarah say hi before we jump into the format of what we're doing and while I load up the second screen to where I want it to be.
Hi. For those of you listening who might not be able to see the screen later on, I'm Sarah Moore, and the other half of this fabulous duo, and Tech Studs in the comments trying to make me laugh. So yes, today is all about repurposing with Canva specifically. I will probably not be talking as much as Tristan, which is a feat all in itself. But given that he's going to be walking people through what he does, that's okay. I will just monitor the chat.
Cool, awesome. Well, as always, we always appreciate your time, guys, for jumping in and joining us. I am actually this may be a little bit wobbly, but I'm going to try and get a bit closer to the screen so you guys can see better. I am actually broadcasting one from mobile and one from desktop. So today we're actually going to go through Canva because anyone who's following me on Twitter, which is at AllThingsNetworking, will know I'm quite big on my graphics. There'll be a whole load of tweetables from my shows, other people's shows and things like that. So today we're going to concentrate on how you can get the most out of the time that you spend online, specifically looking at the tweetables. So when I say tweetables, I mean kind of the one or two lines where you take something that someone said and you turn it into a graphical representation of that. So it might have, so if Sarah was to say something really profound, we might take that quote and then put it into a graphic where we can then use it for Twitter or for Instagram or for Facebook. And with that, when you're creating those, it's obviously important to make them the right size and the right shape so that they fit perfectly to that. So as you can see from the second screen, this is inside. We're using Canva today. So I'm just going to have a quick run through just in case anyone hasn't used Canva. It will be a very quick whistle-stop tour. So if you load up Canva, which is canva.com, this is, once you're inside, you'll get this range of different sizes of posts that you can put up. So you've got things from social media, presentations, posters. But if you tap on the little more button on the end, what happens is it loads you up a whole load more options where you can go in, and over here is my personal favorite, is the Twitter post. Obviously, I put a lot of stuff out through Twitter. So if I show you what happens when you go through this, what happens is it'll load up a new tab and it'll give you a whole load of options of how you can get set up to use Canva and get going really, really quickly. And you don't need any kind of graphical design knowledge. Down the left-hand side here, you've got a whole load of pre-designed templates. Obviously, being Halloween, there's some Halloween templates at the top, and some bits down here for other special occasions. But if you go through, you can pick one that you like. So we're going to go live with this one. Because we're talking about putting in quotes and things, this will be the one that we go live with. So if you see here, there are paid and free versions of each of these. So this one itself is actually a paid one because certain elements of it are paid. The background on this would cost you $1. So with this, you can go through and take this out and put in your own background. So at this point, this is now a free design because there's no paid elements in it. So if I was to just do this now, this would be really easy. I could just go in here and I could just type in, I could just put Sarah's name in And then you see during the show, if we were talking, I can have this now, leave this like this in Canva, and I'm ready that if she says something, I could come in, type it into this box, and it's ready to go. The beautiful thing about using something like Canva is that all your stuff is stored in the cloud, so you could download it from wherever you're working from. And also you can, if you're in Canva and work, you can collaborate with other people. You can have team members that you share the work with. So I'm going to get onto the resizing feature. I did see that. And also for questions, if you use / and then Q, it will highlight them for us. So we can see them more easily. So with this is everything I'm showing you now is on the free version of Canva. There are some other things that you can do as well. So I'll get to the point of the difference between the paid version and the free version as well in a little while. So with this, obviously, I could go through and put in tweets as we go, but obviously it's not going to be massively quick because I've got one design. What about, if she throws out 3 or 4 nuggets all at once? Simplest way to do this is over on the side, you can duplicate. So here there's a copy image, and it'll just duplicate everything that's on the page. So what I recommend doing if you're going to do something like this and you're going to do it live is to have a whole series of these set up, ready to go, so that you can just literally click in and type it. So give you an example, when SBiz hour is on, if I go in there and I know that there's always going to be some good content there, I will have some templates set up for Brian Fanzo, Rachel Miller, and Kristen Cardo, so that I can then go, who said it, go to the template and just drop it in. So it's all about being prepared, ready to do this. I'm actually going to go back to some of my designs here because it saves all your designs online. So if I jump back out a sec, you'll see here, this is a set of my designs that I did for various different things over the past few weeks. So like this is just a poster advert, and then there's a lot of Twitter ones, and then you see down here square ones for Instagram, similar things, same kind of format. Now, if you're on the free version, you will have to resize from. So I think this is the original quote for a Twitter, and then over here is on Instagram. You see they're 2 different designs. If you are on the paid version, it will resize them for you. You can click a button and it will take the colors, the designs, the elements, and put them into the right size for the other format. On the free version, it's a case of getting the 2 set up and copying and pasting. It opens in, as you can see, when you're doing designs up here, it gives you more than one tab anyway, so you can flip between one and the other and copy and paste. So that's the way to get around it if you're not on the paid version. So if I just load in, I'm going to load up one here. So I was at a tech startup event this week called Sid Starts. So and I knew that there was going to be various bits from each of the talks. So every time I went into the main room, I would pre-set up a design. So this example is Kim.com was due to Skype call in and give like a presentation over Skype. And so obviously I went and got a graphic a picture of Kim.com, put in the name and the hashtag. So if you're doing it for other people, try and give back the context of where did this quote come from. So it's really important to do that. Who said it? Very, very important if you're quoting people. And then obviously this design is set up. Now, if I scroll down the page, you can see the format is fairly similar, but by changing up the colors, it's not just like you're putting out the exact same thing. This one I had to do quite quickly, but I've got some other ones where I even changed it and moved the graphic from one side to the other so that you've got a little bit of a varied look. So with regards to the question that's just come up on the chat over here on Blab about copying full elements, so it's pretty easy. If you look at this top one, I'm going to do a duplicate now so you can see what happens. This top post here, see the top one's yellow, bottom one's red. If I duplicate this, it will duplicate every element in here. So I can go down, and then if he says something else, it's as easy as delete this and type something different in. So I can change this quote in like about 2 or 3 seconds, and now I've got 2 tweetables ready to go out. A lot of people, wonder what's kind of the importance of this. I was talking at the Let's Leverage conference at the weekend about how it's really important to make the best use of your time. It's about working smarter, not working harder. And where we do this half-hour show, what we do is we repurpose the content. So we'll have things that we can then tweet out during the week. So some quotes from this week, an advert for next week, and all of those different bits. So if I bring it back into, where are we? So just bring it back in. I'm just going to find for you the, so over here. So we've got a create in 30 promo one. So these are designed for Twitter because that's my primary place for putting them out, because you require a Twitter account to join us on Blab. So it makes sense to do that. But when I load this up, you can see here. So I've got, this is one of our main graphics as promo. I've got one that's just a backdrop if I want to put something new in. And then I've got here, you see this is kind of pre-made, and it's got face, name, space for a quote, and then it's got the hashtag. And then over on this side, the times that you would be able to join the show. In fact, it needs updating because of the daylight savings, but this gives you an example of how easy and quick it is to go through and create. So you see here, I've got a few here, all different colors. And then to mix it up, because it goes between the two of us, swapping them around. So you've got different graphics, different colors, again, for the tweetables so that they look slightly different. Now, what's the power of doing this and tweeting out, especially if it's other people's shows? We've got, I put out, where I caught 4 quotes from Kim.com on, at the conference this week. What I did was, through Twitter, you can put up to 4 images in a tweet. So I put at the end of his talk, I put 4 of his quotes in, 3 of his quotes and a picture of him with the room and him up on the screen to show and give context where the quotes were given. And I think he finished at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we went to the after party, and by about midnight, I'd had a message in from Sarah saying, have you seen what's just happened to your tweet? To which I was kind of caught up at a party. So I went off and had a look, and one tweet had reached 36,000 people in the next 5 hours.
It had like 50 retweets. I follow some big people, and I've not seen, I mean, the closest I've seen is something Gary Vee's done. It probably had 200 retweets, but I've not seen anything with 50 retweets before. I'm just going to say that right now.
So, I mean, and that's it. It's about the engagement. And if you look at this, if you watch our Twitter account, we regularly tweet about the statistics of how much more engagement you will get based on having images, based on whether you do or don't have links in your tweets and things like that, and even down to the length of your tweets. So it's really important to understand those when you're putting the content out. So with that tweet, I'm actually going to go back and see if I can find it quickly while I'm talking. Although obviously I post quite a lot of pictures, so it might take a little while to get back to. We, as you can see as well, it's a good thing for people who are outside of an event. So, I mean, for example, when we did Let's Leverage, we had Rob Curry in and he was talking. This just gives some context to what's going on, what are we doing, where are we as well. So it's a good way of keeping your audience informed of the things that you're doing. So as I scroll through here, you'll see a lot of these are from Sid Start, which is the tech event I was at. So as I scroll through, you'll see different ones. So this is Sean Ellis, and then you go down here, Mark Boris. So all the different people that were talking. But then here I've put in the middle of this a call to action. It's not relevant specifically to that event, but it's if people are really fired up from one event, would you like to learn something that's complementary to this? So it sits quite neatly alongside that and is contextual to the things there. Things like this is just an image I took and then put out to thank Zero accounting software did free coffee at the event, which was obviously something that everybody was really happy about. So here, this is a really good example of a 4-image tweet. You can see how it looks and will catch your eye as you scroll through when you've had a whole load of images or just text-based, and then you get a post like this. It's something slightly different. So you'll be able to catch people's attention as well when you're putting the 3 or 4 out. There was actually a Canva workshop that they did there as well. So looking at, I repurposed this. I took a few photos, dropped them into an app and turned it into a little collage there of different images. So there's a whole load of different things. But while we're talking about the show that we do and repurposing, if we're doing a half-hour show, there's a whole load of quotes, pieces of advice, whether it's if you've seen the one from last week and the week before, there might be 5 points to do this. And if you look back through our media, there's Sarah's 5 top tips on how to do things. So that's a really good one. So I'm just scrolling back a little bit because I just wanted to show you this.
I tagged you in it. I just tagged you in on the computer. Maybe have a look. And it's at 77 retweets.
Awesome. So here, so this is the we're going that way. So this is the message that we put out here. So it literally says, great insights from Kim.com, live on video link at Sydney Start, talking internet security and privacy. And then there's some quotes here about him saying, how do we solve the problem of governments collecting our data? Meganet is going to be an IP, a non-IP based internet based around the blockchain technology. And then Meganet's the internet for the people, by the people. And then you can see, obviously, this post here was just, this is what the room looked like on the day. And we're on 77 retweets and 80 favorites. But if we open up the stats for this one tweet, going this way, you can see 44,000 impressions and 1,361 people interacted with this. So putting out content that is really punchy. You think about TED Talks and things like that. Why are TED Talks so impactful? It's because they deliver the message quickly and concisely. And I mean, Twitter makes you do that with its 140 character limit anyway. But once you throw in a visual and things like that, it's quite a lot of people are visual and they will look at that and they will see that will grab their attention so that they stop and read it. Now, it also allows you, if you notice, the actual tweet itself is short, but then there's 3 quotes inside of that tweet. So it's a little bit more for people to read. So it's a little bit of a workaround as well, but keeping it that it's punchy and contextual to what you're trying to say. So within a show, it's really important with the show to go through. If you're spending half an hour like we do with this, it's a half-hour show, and then we might spend an hour or an hour and a half either side of that. So maybe half an hour beforehand, you know, pulling through the things we need maybe to get together. And then afterwards, you might spend an hour going, right, what was said that we can tweet out? Let's put those into some graphics and schedule them. We did a thing where we talked about buffer. So creating all of these graphics, and then what the reason behind doing them is so that you can use the content that you've created in your show, not just to have your video and your audio that you're going to get from recording this, but also to create some graphical stuff that you can then put out afterwards. So throughout the following week, you can put out little tweets, your 5 top tips, recommendations of apps, those kind of things, so that throughout the week, you've now got a whole load of content, and all of that content was created not in the 30-minute show and the processing time afterwards. So it's really important to work out how you can best use that, how you can best use your time. So people quite often with social media are overwhelmed with, how do I create all this content and coming up with new stuff? In fact, if you look at some of the tweets that have gone out from us over the last week, some of them are quotes from Alex Pettit that might be a couple of weeks old, because we've gone, okay, well, it's relevant right now because he said it. And then some of the evergreen stuff that's not likely to change, is you can tweet that for a little bit later. So put it into your schedule so that you've got stuff coming up. Then when you come to it, you slowly, when you first start doing it, obviously you're starting from nothing. But once you start creating this content, so the stuff from today will go out over the next few hours, but then we can use it over the next few days and into the next few weeks, so that it all ties neatly in. And the way we do that is when we post it now, it will be, here's the tips and tricks from this week. When it goes out next week, what will happen is next week will become, it will say, oh, here's some tips from last week and here's the link to the next show. So we're putting a call to action in so that there's a reason for people to, a reason for us repurposing it. We're not just posting the exact same thing. And if you're putting the same type of content out again, it's really important to think, how can I change this? Or if you're posting across multiple platforms, please do not post the exact same message on all the different platforms. Go in and change that around. So like I said, it's super simple to use. It's Canva.com. There's a free version and a paid version. Now, I'm going to talk quickly about the advantages of the paid version. Is you can work, so you can collaborate as a team, so you can set up designs, you can set up your templates and have them as you can have them set up so that you can just go in like this. I've set up my own templates. They're not actually templates. You just go in and you change them. But you can have on the paid version, so Canva for Work, you can go in and have templates. Now, this is the really key one, is it's the consistency of what your brand looks like and feels like online is really important. And whether that's the colors that you use, the fonts that you're using, how you design things, whether you're someone who uses people's images or whether you don't, and keeping that consistent across the board. Canva for Work actually allows you to set up color palettes so that when you go in, you can say, right, this is one of our design elements, and therefore we want to use a color palette that might be reds and yellows and blacks. But then if it's something that's outward media that we're quoting other people, for that we might use blues and whites and yellows. So you can have color palettes that are specific to the job that you're doing, and you can also set the fonts. So when you set something up, and if I just bring up a design quickly to show you, let's go back to this. So let's just close these out and bring up so if I just bring you in we'll just load up a whole new one. So in Canva here, you can see you load up, so let's load up a design here, so a pre-formatted design. Now the fonts and things are already here, but if I was to go over to the side here and click into the text, these are default set texts. So you've got a whole load of like fonts and sizes that if you click them will go into the thing. Now in Canva for Work, what that allows you to do is preset what the fonts and the font type and the style of these will be. I believe at the moment you can, in theory, you could do it from a mobile, depending on the size of your mobile through a browser, because it is browser based. As far as I'm aware, there isn't an app for it at the moment, and I don't know if they've got intentions for it, because there's so many elements to it, and how precise you might need to be to select and resize things. I don't think it would translate specifically well maybe over to mobile, which I think is why they maybe haven't done it. But yeah, you can set up all of these bits within Canva for Work to have them so that it's constantly in the format that you use. So the types of fonts, the sizes of fonts that you like to use, and the color palettes, as well as having templates set up as well. So that's just kind of a quick overview of how you would do that. And then obviously once you've created these elements, you would, I'm just gonna put this phone down. Once you've created these elements, you would then look at how do I repurpose them. I would take them and put them into my buffer feed. So I'm using Buffer to post out to various different platforms, and it allows me to post across multiple platforms. And I have a great tool called their Power Scheduler that allows me to just set. So I might set times that's post now. So yeah, post now, post in an hour, post in 3 hours, post in 8 hours, post tomorrow, post at the end of the week. So I can have that. And I think, I can't remember how many slots it is, but it's probably, I know it's over 10. So you can have 10 different times that you could schedule. And I might have the Create in 30 account, the I'm Tristan G account, and the ATW networking account. And I can log in and I can go, right, put this picture in the first slot for one, the second slot for another, and the third slot for another, so that they post at different times. And also when you're doing that, you can change the captions, so you can put different hashtags so that it brings those things through. So yeah, I mean, it's a really powerful way to drive an engagement and to get people to engage with the content that you've already created. So using that content and driving it as a tool for using later, so that you've got a lot of content throughout the week. So I'm just going to have a sip of my water, Sarah, if you wanted to chime in and give any bits feedback.
I only had two things to sort of add. One is that in Canva, even without Canva for Work, you can create a link that allows you to share it with other people. So I've created a whole bunch of templates for me and the girls for Friday when we do Global SM Talk. and that way we're all able to edit them.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is, normally, depending on the social media avenue that you choose to use, you can kind of have a bit of overkill if you just use images all the time, or just use, text-based statuses all the time, or whatever. Like, you can really mix it up. But the good thing about Twitter is, because it's so noisy on Twitter, I'm not saying just use images, but if you pump out a whole lot, it's actually not overkill, because the feed is so noisy that it will actually cut through.
Yeah.
That's what I love about things like that. I don't actually have to think terribly strategically about when I'm going to put a video out, when I'm going to put an image out, when I'm going to put a link out, and you can just bomb it.
Yeah, and I mean, we do that, like when we're in like when I do things from conferences, we actually got, during that conference earlier this week, we actually had feedback from the people who were running the event, really appreciative of how quickly we were turning around the quotes. They were literally saying them on stage, and within like 20 seconds, they would be a tweetable out on Twitter. We'd tag the promoter, and we would, so the promoter would get tagged, the person who was talking would be tagged, and the hashtag for the event. So obviously anyone who wasn't there, or even those who were maybe in a different room, could see what was going on as well. And I mean, for me, as people who are organising events, that's a really kind of important thing to do, is let people outside of the event know. Not everyone could necessarily attend, and even the people who are there might want to go and look back later. If you're using a hashtag or something like that to curate the conversation, then make sure you put as much value into that feed as possible. So I mean, it's really key for events, especially, and like broadcasts. When you're doing live broadcasts, why not use that content you've already created, and put it out in different forms. I mean, obviously, we had the conversation on the first week about how you would go, like the different ways you could do it. So you could have like this will be a 30-minute video that then could be cut into smaller videos. So even 15-second video clips that we could then push through to Instagram and things like that. I mean, that's a really key kind of takeaway for this, is working out how you can make the most use of your time. And we're just showing you the tools and the ways to do it. And obviously it's down to you to work out for your business which is the most relevant way to do it. Where's the most relevant place for you to post this? Do you have a big following on Twitter? Is your Facebook busier? I mean, when I tweet this out, so I'll push it through to Twitter for ATW networking, but I have a community of people who I know would be interested in this. So I will post it to the Facebook group and our Facebook page and to my personal, because some people who aren't necessarily connected directly work-wise might go, oh, that will be really useful. They come in and again, this is actually a form of lead generation, because if you're providing really good value and really good content, people then say, I actually had somebody reach out to say, and the quote was something like, how do I get involved in this magic? Because they wanted to know about the graphics that we were putting out, and did we do them ourselves, and how was it that we were doing them so quickly and getting them out, to which is obviously why we do this show, is to show people how you can create that content quickly and then how to best use it once you've created it. It's all very well, I hear all the time people saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to go and do a podcast, and it comes back to what Sarah said about entrepreneurs and the overwhelm of all the things you have to do, saying, I'm going to do this, and then not following through, not taking the action. It's really key to then work out. So I've done a 30-minute show. Now I can put a video on YouTube. I can cut that video and put some bits on Instagram. I'm going to put some tweetables out through Twitter as graphics. Some will just go out as text, just to break it up and mix it up. And it's about varying the media that you use, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. The people who want to follow you on Instagram aren't the people who want to follow you necessarily on Snapchat or over on Facebook or Twitter. I mean, there's when we were talking at the weekend for Let's Leverage, I asked the room who was using Twitter, and there were still people in the room not using it, to which my question was, why not? And by the time I'd finished my talk on how you can use Twitter, I asked again, who wasn't on Twitter and who's going to sign up for Twitter, and everybody put their hands up. So it's quite often people don't go to platforms because they don't understand them. And so it's about educating yourself, working out where is my audience, how can I best serve my audience, whether that's photos or videos or tweetables, and putting those bits and pieces out in the right place for your audience, I think. So this week, I think we were going to open up the seats, weren't we, Sarah? See if anybody had any specific questions for like their content creation and bits and pieces like that.
Yeah, but our time's up.
It is up. You're right. So if anybody had a quick question that they wanted to jump in on the last minute just before we wrap up, that would be cool.
Is there a list of the apps and web tools that we can use to better enhance our shareables and ability to repurpose content other than Canva?
Yes, there will be. I will be putting that out. If you follow the Create in 30 account on Twitter, we'll be posting from there, and likewise from our own individual accounts as well, because the content gets repurposed across all of the different accounts that are associated with the show. So that's the ATW Networking, the Create in 30 account, the Sarah Moore account, and I forgot which ones I did. ATW Networking, I'm Tristan G, Create in 30, and the Sarah Moore account. So it'll go across all of those. But you can also, you might find, in fact, if you go to whichever is your favorite platform and put the hashtag Create in 30, so CRE8, the number 8, IN30, into your favorite platform, we actually post out to, your Instagrams and things like that as well. So you'll find it there. And in fact, if you're on Snapchat, I don't know if Sarah's got the codes, the snap codes available to post. Oh, you're on your phone. Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say we can drop those, but what we'll do is we'll tweet those Snapchats out as well, because I actually do Snapchat a lot of my work stuff as well now, and also if you're interested in watching how to tell stories on Snapchat as well, that's a good one. We will be tweeting out the show because Sarah and I need to just discuss which the next topic is, so we will tweet out afterwards, so please make sure you're following the Create in 30 account over on Twitter. Let's see. So the Twitter account is over there in the chat there. So it's twitter.com/CRE8 CRE the number 8 IN30, and you can connect with us there, and we'll tweet out in fact the top post, the pinned post on that account is always the replay for the previous show and the schedule for the coming show. So each week you can come in and find that show really, really easily. So if nobody's got any specific questions that they wanted to ask, we're on the 30-minute mark, pretty much on the dot, so not bad times. Threw me out a little bit with starting at a different time today, but I hope that people got some good value. We'd love to hear your feedback in the chat and via Twitter afterwards. But as always, it's been a pleasure getting in and helping you guys work out how to best create content and to use it, and also to answer questions about how to repurpose. Thank you very much, Sarah, for moderating the comments and being here to keep things in check. And yeah, we'll be here at the same time again next week. So if you go to the Create in 30 Twitter or watch either of our feeds, you'll see the links go up for that. And yeah, I will be posting out some links and tweetables from this with recommendations of apps that you can use as well. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll catch you again.